Izuki Midoriya is your average, pathetic loser, whose father went out to buy milk and never returned. In a world where people have supernatural abilities called quirks, Midoriya was born as a loser, with no abilities. However, his life changes when he comes across the #1 hero, All Might, who decides to make him his son and grant him his abilities. Exactly a month prior to the present events, Villain Twice approaches Hawks to seek his advice regarding something. At this point, Hawks has managed to completely infiltrate the Paranormal Liberation Front and even got information regarding Shigaraki's experimentation site. In the present, some pro-heroes meet at the police headquarters where they discuss their plan regarding the raid on the Liberation Front. It is decided that the heroes will be divided into 2 teams. One of them will ambush the Gunga Mountain Villa, while the other will subjugate Dr. Garaki at the Jaku General Hospital. For those of you that have been living under a rock, Dr. Garaki was Shigaraki's right-hand man and is the guy behind those ugly no moves. As Endeavor, Present Mike, and Eraserhead confront Garaki at the hospital, Mirko makes her way towards the morgue, destroying everything in her. Later on, it is revealed that the old fart Endeavor had confronted was just a double, and the real one is attempting to escape alongside Shigaraki when Mirko confronts him. Mirko reports to the other heroes regarding Garaki and proceeds to kick the living shit out of him. Just then, some other heroes including Crust arrive at the spot as well. Meanwhile, Endeavor and Eraserhead are up against the ugly Nomu on the surface. Using a Nomu as distraction, Garaki manages to activate a device that releases the remaining 5 high ends. One of them ambushes Crush, thus halting them from reaching the lab. Mirko, on the other hand, is fighting 4 high-end Nomus on her own. Well, her arm gets a bit messed up during the battle, but she manages to defeat one of them. With all this going on, the other hero team stationed at the Gunga village also proceeds to ambush the Liberation Front. Their ass is saved by Kaminari, who absorbs an electric attack by a villain. The war is now proceeding in full throttle, with the heroes up against the villains. Tokiyami is assisting Fat Gum to close exits to the assembly hall, where Redistro and the other villains are trapped. Suddenly, Tokiyami's quirk Dark Shadow warns him about the presence of Gigantomachia, but Fat Gum reassures him that he won't move until Shigaraki orders him to. In the meantime, Hawks are preventing Twice from joining the battle. Seeing all this, Twice starts losing his mind and blames himself for ruining everything. Hawks wants Twice to surrender peacefully, but he refuses, and just as Hawks is about to finish him off, Dabi appears at the spot and saves his ass. This provides Twice the opportunity to escape, but Hawks still manages to stab him in the neck. One of Twice's doubles manages to make its way to Toga and apologizes for his mistakes. Meanwhile, Dabi is totally overwhelming the Hawks with his blue flames. He also reveals his identity to Hawks, which shocks him. Until now, Hawks has failed to acquire any information regarding Dabi's past. With all this going on, Mirko is also struggling against the high-end Nomus, and with no other option, she decides to destroy Shigaraki's containment capsule. With Endeavor and Eraserhead's help, she manages to evade the Nomus and destroy the pod when it is 75% complete. Garaki attempts to awaken Shigaraki, but Present Mike destroys the lab before that. After all this, Garaki reveals that he created the quirk Singularity Theory over 70 years ago and was ridiculed by everyone except All for One who supported it. He further reveals that the experiment that created Kurogiri was meant for Eraserhead. Meanwhile, it is revealed that Shigaraki was bestowed upon the original All for One quirk and that his family members have been holding him back. In his vision, he gets rid of all of them as he wakes up in the real world as well. With all of this going on, Tokiyami arrives just in time to save Hawks, and he uses Dabi's useless blabbering to escape. With the heroes and villains still fighting, he manages to escape with injured Hawks. Meanwhile, Shigaraki awakens and unleashes his Decay that obliterates some heroes, including Xless. Endeavor and the others have no choice but to run away as the Decay keeps obliterating everything around them. Crust even sacrifices himself to save Eraserhead, who is more important to this war. Shigaraki's Decay is spreading to the city as well, where Deku and Todoroki are evacuating citizens. They attempt to halt its spread, but fail miserably and have no other choice but to escape. At the hospital site, Shigaraki discovers the quirk Destroying Bullets Garaki had created that were destroyed by Xless. He then hears a mysterious voice in his head ordering him to awaken Gigantomachia, and he uses a communicator to summon the giant creature to him. Even though Tokiyami has managed to save Hawks, the war is still going on as Toga also transforms into a hero and goes on a killing spree. Just then, Gigatomachia's hand emerges from beneath and shocks everyone. Meanwhile, Endeavor goes up against Shigaraki and soon realizes that he's no match for him. During the battle, Shigaraki keeps hearing a voice to steal One for All, and Endeavor overhears this as well. He warns Deku and the other heroes about this. Upon hearing this, Deku separates himself from the civilians and makes his way back to the city alongside Bakugo, who wants his revenge. Just then, Shigaraki appears in front of Deku and attempts to steal his quirk. Despite his valiant effort, Deku gets saved by Gran Torino, who appears out of nowhere. Endeavor and the other heroes also appear at the spot, including Eraserhead, who blocks Shigaraki's quirk. However, it is revealed that his overwhelming physical prowess was not because of any quirk. Just then, some random ugly Nomus appear from the ground as well and engage the heroes in combat. The Jakku city has been completely obliterated by Shigaraki, and even the heroes are struggling against him. With the near high-end Nomus distracting the other heroes, only Endeavor and Ryuku are battling Shigaraki. Shigaraki attempts to kill Eraserhead, who was being a nuisance, but Deku arrives in time and saves his teacher. Endeavor then allows Deku and Bakugo to join the battle. Meanwhile, Shigaraki is fighting his inner conscience as he has realized that a part of All for One still persists inside him. With all of this going on, Gigantomachia carries the villains on its back and rushes towards Shigaraki. Mount Villain attempts to halt the giant's movements with Midnight, using her quirk to put him back to sleep. During all this, Dabi and the others attack Midnight and gravely injure her. With no other option left, she contacts Yaoyorozu to prepare some anesthetics and take charge of the UA students and attempt to stop the giant. Their plan is to get Gigantomachia stuck in a place and open his mouth to inject some sedative. Their trap succeeds as the giant gets stuck in the ground, but with the villain still on his back, the heroes cannot reach its mouth. Avoiding Dabi's flames, Mina somehow manages to reach the monster, but she recognizes Gigantomachia as someone from her past and hesitates enough to miss the shot. Before she gets crushed, Kirishima saves her and hurls the sedatives into the giant's mouth. However, much to their surprise, Gigantomachia starts transforming. Meanwhile, Shigaraki highlights the issue of heroes abandoning their children to protect others and gravely injures Gran Torino. He also attempts to kill Eraserhead, but Deku and Ryuku hold him off. However, little did they know that Shigaraki actually possesses a quirk, a racing bullet, and launches it towards Eraserhead, hitting him in the leg. To avoid the effects of the bullet, Eraserhead cuts off his leg, but Shigaraki still manages to slice his eye. Just then, Todoroki appears at the spot and saves Eraserhead. Now that Eraser's quirk is undone, Shigaraki unleashes his full potential, only to realize that he was awakened way too early. Meanwhile, the UA students have failed to subjugate Gigantomachia, who is now heading toward Shigaraki. Suddenly, Deku awakens the quirk Float of Nana Shimura and takes Shigaraki into the air using Whiplash. He proceeds to duel Shigaraki alone in the air as Bakugo and the others spectate from the ground. At this point, Deku is overwhelming Shigaraki with his power, despite his injuries. Seizing the opportunity, Todoroki and Bakugo launch Endeavor into the air so he can finish off Shigaraki with his prominence burned. Even though he's getting burned alive, Shigaraki launches some rivets and stabs Endeavor. He also attempts to stab Deku, but Bakugo pushes him away and he gets stabbed instead. Seeing Bakugo getting stabbed, Deku gets insanely furious and ambushes Shigaraki, who seizes the opportunity to touch his face and steal his quirk. Suddenly, Deku gets transported inside Shigaraki's conscious, where All for One is taking over his body despite his resistance. Deku, on the other hand, is supported by Nana Shimura, as All for One introduces her to Shigaraki as his grandmother. Shigaraki attempts to erode All for One and One for All, but All for One's younger brother repels his attack. After this, both of them reappear in the real world, where All for One instructs Shigaraki to flee and recover his body. In the meantime, the evacuation team has been split into two, with Najiri and Oda going towards the heroes fighting Shigaraki, and Tsuyu and Achako aiding the evacuation team. During all of this, Toga notices Achako and confronts her as an old woman. Following some weird conversation, Achako manages to throw her off and confront her. Meanwhile, a hero flies towards the battlefield on a plane, while Todoroki saves Deku, Bakugo, and Endeavor from falling. They're surprised to see Shigaraki still standing, ignoring All for One's orders to retreat. Najiri and Ida also show up to warn about Gigantomachia's rampage. Najiri helps Shoto fight Shigaraki, while Ida helps the injured heroes. Achako and Toga fight in an abandoned house. Toga reveals she used Achako's power to kill someone, shocking Achako. They fight over Deku's Christmas gift as Achako warns Toga of consequences, making her cry. Just then, Tsuyu appears at the spot and helps Achako, but Toga somehow manages to escape. This makes Achako wonder the reason behind Toga's tears. In the meantime, Gigantomachia arrives, taking Shigaraki. Dabi then reveals himself as Toya Todoroki on TV. Skeptic hacks TVs, airing Dabi's confession of being Endeavor's son and his abusive past. Endeavor and Shoto are horrified. Dabi prepares to attack, but Best Jeanist restrains him and other villains. Best Jeanist uses his metal fibers to restrain Gigantomachia and the League, surprising Dabi with his survival. Spinner tries to wake Shigaraki to give Gigantomachia orders, and before Najiri can blast them, Dabi burns her with his flames. Just then, the near high-end Nomus battling the heroes escape from the group and attack Jeanist. Deku wants to assist the heroes, but his broken-ass body doesn't allow him to. Suddenly, Mirio appears at the spot, as it is revealed that Eri used her quirk to rewind the effect of that quirk-destroying bullet. Bakugo, Lita, and the others assist Mirio in battling the Nomus, as Bakugo reveals his hero name as well, which is quite embarrassing. but Mirio likes it. In the meantime, Todoroki is getting overpowered by Dabi, while Endeavor is still shocked by this revelation. Gigantomachia also breaks free from Genis' restraints, but Endeavor manages to put him back into sleep as the anesthetics used by UA students finally take effect. With this, the war is finally reaching its climax. That's it, folks. We'll continue this season in the next part. Till then, make sure you like and subscribe so you don't miss out on anything.